Navigating Magic podcast, where we explore the interplay between intuition, ethereal consciousness, and everything in between. I teach beings how to generate change through their attention to energies, truths, and processes that are invisible to others. I'm your host, Natasha Andreo. In the first episode, I discussed the Kybalion, written in 1912 by the three initiates, based on the Hermetic teachings dating back to 5,000 years ago. Now, the Kybalion is premised on the theory that there is an intelligent thinking substance that pervades all space and time. And by coming into harmony with this intelligent stuff, you can, to a certain degree, control what you manifest in your life. Now, I can wholeheartedly tell you through my many years of study, practice, and embodiment that every single manifestation technique that exists out there, and there are so many out there to try, they always gravitate back to the Kybalion and the 7 core principles. Now, the Kybalion is written with the assumption that you have a creative method of thought. And so the 7 principles are guiding you, and each one intertwines with the others. When taken together, these concepts comprise a tool that will help you to navigate life more successfully. And this will also sharpen and clarify your understanding of how to become a powerful creator in your life, because we are all manifesting all the time. You are manifesting the good, the bad, and the beauty. I don't like to use the word ugly. What we've done in this particular podcast episode is I have basically broken down the 7 principles, and I ask you one key question in order to help you cultivate a stronger relationship with not only your surroundings, but with your own mind. Now, the 7 core concepts of the Kybalion are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. And the first particular concept is mentalism. Now, I'm going to say that this is probably, not that we can have favorites. It's like your favorite child or your favorite bunny, your favorite pet. There's no such thing. But mentalism is really important. Now, I'm going to ask you to finish off my sentence. And I know you can do it, even if you're half asleep. The answers are going to come to you without you even having to think. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Money doesn't grow on, well done, trees. Next one, finish this sentence. Money is the root of all, even better, evil. And lucky last, ready? Time is, ding, 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 money. You all know exactly how to finish each statement. And that's because of mental programming that you received when you were younger. Now, that thinking is locked deep in your subconscious mind, and it influences how you perceive the notion of money. Now, every single human from the ages of 0 to 7 are what we call in a programmable state. Doctors like Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza have conducted research on these mechanisms, and they have proven through science and through thousands and thousands of testing that a child's brain is in a particular state that puts them in a programmable state. Now, what is programmed into this child in the same way like a computer, because our brains are like computers, it stays, the teachings, the learnings, and the influence stays with them throughout all their lives. And that is until you change the program. The change of the program has to happen from a conscious state, and there are many techniques that you can do to help you, but let's save that for another podcast episode. Now, the very first way that you can break down the Kybalion concept of mentalism is through inductive reasoning. And another way to word this would be inductive thinking. Now, certain thoughts and programming really has been placed in your mind by the thoughts of others. We are constantly bombarded with messages seeking to influence our behavior. I want you to think about political campaigns, slogans. What about soft drink and snack food commercials? I mean, you just have to spend 30 seconds on Instagram to realize that almost everything is presented to us in a way that's supposed to get us to consume something. We are living in a materialistic world, unfortunately. Everything is conveyed to you in a way to influence your thinking about it. This program will make you thinner, younger, sexier, more attractive, and more vital. And these are examples of others trying to inductively influence your thinking for the benefits of themselves, or the company, or the brand, or whatever the fuck they're trying to sell you. It may not be necessarily for your benefit. And the thing is, we get sucked into these. How many times have you bought something because you were influenced by it at a subconscious level? Because half the time we're not consciously aware of it, only to regret it later. I mean, you just have to walk into people's homes to realize how much clutter and things that they have. And the thing is, we're living in a world where we're made to believe that we need more things to be happy. I mean, I have consciously stopped myself from doing this, and so I love having clear and open spaces, especially in my home. I think this is one of the most empowering things you can do. Now, the second way that mentalism works is through deductive reasoning. And the best way to counter the inductive thoughts from others is to learn to think deductively. For yourself, of course. What's in your highest and best interest? Once you determine that, you want to act in a way, the direction of your goals and desires. So mentalism is the key, core and primary Kybalion core concept. The message is that you can think for yourself in a way that allows you to design and transform your life into whatever you can visualize it to be. Now, I want you to think about this question. This is the first question for you, and this is a bit of homework for you. What do you believe is the highest and best version of yourself? I want you to really visualize this. And it's not so much a technique where you go, well, where am I in 1 year's time? Or how about thinking, what is the best version of yourself? And then work backwards. What decisions is this person making? Where are they spending their time? Who are they spending their time with? If right now your life does not align with this, then sorry, not sorry, things need to change. The second Kybalion concept is correspondence. Now, I want you to imagine a stairway that leads from the basement of a building all the way to the roof. Let each step along this staircase represent a thought. The stairs in the basement are associated with disempowering emotions like hopelessness, depression, fear, despair, grief. As you move up to the first floor, the stairs symbolize slightly higher feelings: blame, discouragement, doubt, and worry. We're up to level 2 now, and the corresponding sentiments are boredom, contentment, pessimism. Yet another level closer to the top of the steps represent optimism, hopefulness, and belief. And then finally, we are at the rooftop, and the treads stand for passion, appreciation, joy, love, and gratitude. Each step abuts the one above and the one below. They all correspond. You always have a choice of going up or down. And the thing is, sometimes we think that we are our thoughts and our feelings. And this, I'm sorry, is causing more harm than good. You are not sadness. You are not depression. you experience sadness and you experience depression. But society now, a lot of people, I see it in young people and old people, that you are identifying yourself and you're pigeonholing yourself by putting yourself in a particular category associated with your feelings. I want you to gain the insight into the power of the emotional scale. And I want you to have the power, because you have a choice. Which staircase or step are you in? Because the power is always yours. My question for you is, hint, your homework. Are you climbing higher or lower? And the thing is, we know exactly what it is that makes us feel higher or lower. We know the type of people in our lives and in our circle that are either bringing us up or pulling us down. If you have people in your life that are pulling you down, then I'm going to say this to you. These people are not right for you, because your body understands this and your body will react a certain way to these people. You need to stand up for yourself, because saying no to others means saying yes to you. So I really want you to think and reflect on this. The next Kybalion concept is the principle of vibration. Now, every thought and feeling has a corresponding vibration. There are many, many examples in our world today of people who expect the worst. I personally know people who are convinced that every time they go to the doctor, something terrible will be told to them. Eventually, it does happen. And this has nothing to do with age. This has nothing to do with genetics. The Kybalion suggests that this predominant belief was that every time you think something bad is going to happen, that it will. You are basically broadcasting from your mind. You're transmuting a thought to the universe, and that vibration is one of disease or ill health or poverty or lack or scarcity. The disease simply responds to the vibration, and it's working backwards there. And this is only one example of how this works. Now, I can tell you in my personal life, last year, Nick's car was stolen. Now, for those of you that know us and know us well, you would know that this wasn't just any car. It was the car, the heart, the soul of everything that meant anything to him. He had his car for nearly 10 years and it was his baby. Leading up to the incident of the car being taken, he was obsessed with overprotecting the car. He would make me park my car diagonally across the driveway, and when I would ask him why, he would say, because I don't want it to be stolen. When he would lock the car, he wouldn't just lock it once, he would lock it 3 times to make sure that it was locked. He would check on the car before he went to bed, just like a baby. And all of these thoughts put out a frequency to the universe: take me, take me, take me. Now, I'm going to say this to you. I want you to think about your life. When have you ever had recurring thoughts about something going wrong and then it happened? You were attuned to the principle of vibration. Now, I'm going to teach you some ways through this podcast to help flip those thoughts. And you have to retrain. The key word here is you have to retrain your mind into believing the good. You literally need to train yourself, okay? Because unfortunately, being negative feels more familiar to us, and the mind loves what is familiar. So what are your predominant thoughts? By changing the mental vibrations that occupy your thoughts, you can attract anything into your life. Whatever is vibrating on the same frequency that you are putting out is what you are going to draw into your life. If you're always frustrated by how hard you work and how little money you make, then that's what you'll attract more of. Now, I can tell you in my life, whenever I have either applied for a particular role or leading up to our wedding or buying our house, through all of these big life events, I always expected the best. I literally put my frame of thought and I emitted a vibration that was always, yes, we are going to get this. If ever I had a doubt, it never worked out. Now, I'm talking about making decisions with big things, but this also applies to little things in life, right? You can, anytime I buy, put it this way, anytime I buy a lottery ticket, I always expect to win. And guess what? I always do. Last week, we had $89.75 win in our lottery ticket. We won $50 in scratchies, which is really like, I'm used to the $2, $5 wins, but last week we had $50 just in scratchy tickets, right? Now, I'm obviously not putting out a big enough frequency to win the jackpot yet. But when I actually buy a ticket, I'm always expecting to win. And I tell the person that I'm buying the lottery ticket from, I'm going to see you next week and I'm going to be collecting my winnings. And they always laugh because they think I'm joking, but I never am. Nick rolls his eyes at me, but it works. So train yourself. Do it with little things. Practice with little things. Start emitting a particular vibration and you will get the result that you want to attract. Now, my question for you regarding the third principle is, what are you transmitting as your predominant thought? And some of this has everything to do with intention. Don't just buy things, for the sake of it. Don't just make decisions for the sake of it. Your thoughts are going to come clear to you in your way of reality. The next Kybalion concept is the concept of polarity. Now, how would you understand cold if you have never experienced heat? Could you ever perceive light if you've never been in total darkness? I'm going to assume probably not. The same is true of emotional states like love and hate or happiness and sadness. Think of the example I mentioned earlier regarding the emotional stairway to understand this principle. The emotions on the roof are the polar opposite of those in the basement. And it's impossible to have one pole without its opposite. Poverty and prosperity are opposite poles of the same thing. What this means is that going from poverty to prosperity isn't a quantum leap. It's just sliding along a scale, which is much easier for you to grasp. Now, you have a choice. And what separates humans from everything else in creation is our gift of free will. You get to choose what you think about, and it's up to you whether you concentrate on what you want and desire or on what you despise. It's not easy, but by choosing what you concentrate on, you can consciously move up the stairway or down if you build an altar to your negative emotions. And obviously we don't want to do that, but how many times have you built an altar towards negativity? Because you focus and you dwell and you are on this wheel that you cannot get out of. Now just know that whatever you allow your mind to dwell on is what you are calling into your life. And I think this is why some people might be startled by this, because if I was sitting here talking to someone that is very sick, or someone who just lost their job, or someone who has just broken up in a relationship, and you told them you created this, it is going to be hard to hear. But you know what? This could be the best thing you tell them, because if you have the power to create that being the negative, then you definitely have the power to create and call in the positive into your life. I've mentioned to you in the previous episode, anytime one of our bunnies gets sick, I tell myself, if I had the power, if my thought created their illness, then my thought can create their wellness. And it happens because I am literally putting energy out there towards their wellness and health instead of fixating on the negative. And I have some pretty crazy stories regarding this that I may or may not mention. But I think the one that comes to mind would be only last month, one of our bunnies, Mosaic, woke up and she didn't run for her food. Now, bunny rabbits are extremely sensitive beings, and if they don't eat in a couple of hours, they can go into what we call gut stasis and they could potentially die. It's actually life-threatening. So it's really important that every day the bunnies are eating, and bunny rabbits are grazers, so they are going to be eating continuously. They have access to hay 24/7, and then they get given their veggies for dinner and brekkie. Now, on this one particular morning, Mosey didn't run for her food. She had no interest, and because bunnies are animals of prey, they like to hide their illness because they're very vulnerable. Now, obviously, she is in our home. She's a free roam bunny living with the other 4 bunnies we have, and she's safe and protected, but this was a cause for concern. I had to rush off to teach that day, and so Nick took her to the vet. And the vet literally ran every test, did the bloods, and they couldn't find out why she wasn't eating. They gave her some pain meds, and obviously the pain meds, once they kicked in, she was able to eat. Now, the whole day, I could have been at work teaching, and I could have been thinking about her illness and why she's not eating and because we've been through this in the past with the other bunnies. However, I consciously and purposely diverted my thoughts to her health. I literally had her photo and video on my phone, and anytime I had a break, I would look at and watch her video of the past of her eating, and I was focusing on that, and I was talking to her, telling her, you are healthy, you are safe, you are healthy, you are safe, you are healthy, you are safe. Now, within a few hours, we got the video from the vet with her eating. She was fine. And I remember saying to myself, if I can create her illness, I can definitely create her wellness. And the funny thing is, the night before, I had gone to bed not feeling the best. And Nick and I were like umming and ahhing about who's taking the car and and it just didn't feel right. And your animals actually pick up and they absorb your feelings. And not only do they absorb them, they amplify them. And so this is the perfect example of the law of polarity coming into play, because you have a choice. You have to think about what end of the scale do you want to be on. So I want you to reflect on where you are on the scale of your thoughts. What occupies your mind most of the time? Do you think more about what you desire or about what you fear? Now, as I said before, unfortunately, we are conditioned to focus on our fears. So when you retrain yourself to center your attention on the vision of the person you want to become, you take your time to be mindful, and metaphorically or literally, I don't really care, you hold up a mirror to your thoughts. Where are you on the sliding scale between what you yearn for and what you hope to avoid? My question for you is, this is your homework, your next piece, is where are you magnetizing your thoughts? The 5th Kybalion concept is the law of rhythm. Imagine a unique river. It's different because unlike an average waterway, this one has 2 currents. One moves upstream and the other flows down. Generally speaking, the current moving upstream is associated with joy and pleasure, or the current moving downstream is associated with pain and unhappiness. And I'm sure that you can give me specific examples in your life when you were going upstream and, on the other hand, when you were going downstream. In all of nature, there is a constant rhythm from one side of the river to the other. One moment, the tides surge in, and the next, it ebbs back out. Life is like a swing in perpetual motion, always moving back and forth. That's the nature of life on all planes of existence: physical, intellectual, and spiritual. And you've seen this in your own life, where you've had peaks where everything felt amazing, and then troughs where everything seemed to be going wrong. At any given time, you can use your mental faculties to be aware of which side of the river you're on. If you choose to fight the current and try to go against it, then swimming will require a great deal of effort and your progress will be slow. Or you can swim with the flow. Like all other principles, this one can be used to your advantage by knowing how to benefit from it. I mean, all you have to do is read the signs around you. If you are persisting in something and you are constantly getting pushback, then read the fucking sign. It is not right for you. I read a story only this morning where a man went to leave home and his car alarm wasn't working. And so he had to go back inside to get another key. As he went inside, he realized the garage door wouldn't open. And he's like, oh my gosh, what type of day am I having? As he went to push the button on the wall to get the garage working, he realized that the key to the garage door was missing. And what had happened was, when he went inside to make some phone calls, he actually left the hot iron on, and one of his shirts started to light up. Now, call this divine intervention, could have been his spirit guides, call it angels, whatever it may be. The signs were clearly evident for him not to leave the house. He kept facing resistance. Anytime he tried to leave, there was a block. Your car alarm isn't working. The garage door's not opening. And on it went. Had he left the house, he may not have had a house to come back to. Literally speaking. Now, I want you to think about your life. How many times have you literally faced a block? Faced resistance, but you decided to persist instead. And you faced, it was big, bold, big fat no. This is your sign. The universe is always communicating to us in signs. And so the question for you right now is your next piece of homework. Are you swimming with the tide or are you fighting it? The sixth Kybalion concept is cause and effect. Now, have you ever played 8-ball? You rack the balls in a triangular formation. Then you use the cue stick to drive the cue ball into the rack of balls. The object of the game is to sink certain balls in certain pockets of the table in a certain order. Sometimes the result of the ball bouncing off each other seems random. But in fact, there is nothing arbitrary about it. Every movement the balls make, even if it seems chaotic, is a result of the laws of physics. That is exactly what life is. Nothing happens by chance. I mean, the word coincidence actually means to coincide or to perfectly align. Chance is just a term we use because we have not yet discovered the laws that control any given circumstance. Every result that shows up has been caused by certain actions that were taken. That means that we're constantly living in a residue caused by our thoughts and actions in the past. The bottom line is that if you don't like the effect of the actions that you've taken in the past, then alter your actions to create a better future. I mean, it seems so simple, doesn't it? Now, uncomfortable truth for you, if you are uncomfortable or not happy with or discontent with a situation, a relationship, an outcome, your circumstances, your finances, your health, then whatever it is that you are doing is clearly not working. If you keep doing it, as Einstein would say, you are going to go insane believing that you're going to get a different outcome. Something has to change. Because if it was working, you would have the answers that you desire. So my question for you is, homework time. What actions are you taking and how will they contribute to your future? If you are doing the same actions and you are expecting a different outcome, then, my friend, you are the walking, talking definition of insanity. The very last Kybalion concept is gender. And this has nothing to do with whether you're a male or a female. Each one of us and everything in creation has masculine as well as feminine attributes. We will be focusing on the mental attributes of gender. Now, the masculine polarity of the mind is active, conscious, and very yang energy. The part that is able to think deductively and make decisions regarding direction and action. And it causes the impulses and actions to be initiated. Whereas the feminine is very creative, passive, and the subconscious mind that is associated with generation and regeneration. It has no ability to initiate or change direction, but it is rather reflective and big picture. The ideal way to use the Kybalion's law of gender is to be aware that there is a time for each aspect. There is a time to act decisively and to initiate activity in the direction of achieving your goals. And equally vital is the need to balance the active polarity with the passive. To reflect and take measure. To consider whether course corrections are advisable or not. So the last question or homework piece for you is, when should you exercise the masculine and when the feminism? Feminine, not feminism. I don't know where I got that from. Now, I'm going to reiterate or summarize the 7 questions or your 7 pieces of homework. And I really, really want to encourage you to reflect on these. You might like to journal on them. I'm a big lover of journaling because you actually get a shift, you get a response, you get answers sometimes. The first question is, what do you believe? Second question, are you climbing higher or lower? Third question, what are you transmitting? Fourth question, where are you magnetizing your thoughts? Next one, are you swimming with the tide or fighting it? Second last question, what actions are you taking? And the very last question for you is, when should you exercise the masculine and when should you exercise the feminine? And so I hope you have a better understanding of how the Kybalion, oh my gosh, where are my words? How the 7 Kybalion concepts can be reflected, practiced, and embodied in your life. If you would love to learn more about this, you might like to consider some spiritual mentoring with me, because I like to work one-on-one with my clients and literally apply these principles in their life. I have personally experienced some amazing manifestations in my life, big and small, and I can attribute it to actively, purposely, and definitely applying these principles. I started small and I started building my confidence to work my way up. And I want to help you do that. I really want to thank you for tuning in to my second podcast episode. It would mean the world to me for you to download this podcast, follow my page, and also share it with your friends and family, because I intend on spreading this information like a wildfire.